The purpose of a locked off camera is to have no movement. Nowadays, people are impatient and they're multitaskers, right? And so everything feels like it needs to move, or else it doesn't have energy, or you always have to flip through it, or if you're bored, you're going to just turn the page or click on something else. You know, there's practical reasons to not move the camera, right? Some of that is moving the camera indicates progress. It adds energy, and therefore, if you don't want energy and you don't want progress, don't move the camera. If you watch, you know, a lot of the mystery TV shows that are out there, a lot of the NYPD, whatever, you know, LL Cool J shit, they're moving the camera just to keep energy there. There's no basic reason to move the damn camera. They'll be sitting in a coffee shop or on a bench in a park and just talking, and you'll like see them like kind of moving the camera, and it's like got like a slight, you know, noise to it, and you're like, what the? A lot of times maybe you don't notice it, but like it's there to just try to add energy to something that's boring. Sometimes the best work is when you are controlled. You have a purpose to your camera movement, and that's, I think, again, a theme that we'll run into is like, what is the purpose of the movement? If there's no purpose, we don't need to move it. So panning left to right, again, I kind of put it here in X, Y, and Z axis because I want you to think about it in terms of that. In our society, in the West, left to right feels better, feels more natural because people read left to right. So it's naturally going to be a little bit more comfortable there. Going right to left can indicate different things. Something is not right because, again, naturally, subconsciously, the way that we read, and when you start to go the opposite direction, you do things that are not normal for people to consume. You can give subtle hints that things may not feel right. Things are off. Slide something in there, slide a feeling in there. And that's what it is. It's a feeling, an emotion that you're trying to evoke. So some tips for camera movement. You know, we talked a lot about moving camera and how a lot of folks and a lot of places, especially television, move camera a lot nowadays, right? You try to have a purpose. Think about a purpose to moving the camera. Moving the camera, again, during dialogue can be distracting. That's why, you know, they cut a lot, right? And always focus on the person with the dialogue. Again, not a rule, but if you want to keep it consistent, if you want your audience to know what's happening. So again, not rules, but you know, you don't want to use a longer than a 50 mil when two characters are on screen. With one, you can go kind of as long as you want to. And when you lead and follow, right? You lead through a scene, suggest that we stay somewhat equidistant, right? When you're kind of leading through the scene. And when you follow a scene, this is where you kind of see it in third person a lot of time. That over the shoulder, that follow, like you're following the player, almost like you're going on the journey with them, right? That's where that follow kind of comes through. Even the first person camera sometimes can be a follow, you know, it can feel like a follow, even if you never know that the first person is there. That's why it has a personality. That's why I say camera has a personality, because if that camera is moving behind a character, you can get the sense that somebody is behind that. It is somebody's point of view, right? We're talking about leading here, okay? This is Full Metal Jacket. Stanley Kubrick is the director here, and he decides to use this through the entire shot.
I am Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, your senior drill instructor. From now on, you will speak only when spoken to, and the first and last words out of your filthy sewers will be sir. Do you maggots understand that?
Sir, yes, sir.
Bullshit, I can't hear you. Sound off like you got a pair.
Sir, yes, sir.
That's right. Well, he is essentially leading the camera to move. He's pushing the camera to move. So there is a lead here, and they're following the character's lead here. They also don't cut because it helps keep that tension. The camera is constantly moving backwards. You know, it's uncomfortable to move backwards. So if you're in the audience and you're watching this, you know, it's going to evoke some level of feeling, right? They don't cut also because they want to keep that tension. You can't escape this guy. He's right in the center of the frame. He never goes anywhere. We don't go away from him, you know, and these recruits are feeling, fuck, I can't escape this guy. So you want the audience to feel that. You want that pressure to build and then to release. Motivation behind a camera cut. They could have cut a bunch of times. They could have shown from different angles. Would it have had the same effect or the same feel? That's the thing you got to pay attention to. Camera, feeling, character, right? So again, we look at kind of God of War stuff. You know, that follow. It's got a very distinct feel to it, and they did it amazingly. But they did a great job of allowing the player to move, even though they're following, and it's somewhat equidistant the entirety of the game. During these moments, you can still break away from the camera, or it comes in close during different moments, right? Like there's a zoom, there's some level of interest in that camera movement still to help emphasize different parts. Is it more forceful? Do I get a different feeling this way, right? All right, so we talk about rack focus, right? Use this this focus on the lens to shift the player's views in attention. If there's a point of interest and you rack out, the audience is going to see that. It is a visual on the screen that the audience is going to pay attention to, and a lot of times you use it to shift the player or the audience's views of what you want them to see. It can help communicate depth. You do a rack in the background. It can really separate the background, the midground, and the foreground a little bit, right? It can also kick out noise. Like if there's a lot of noise in the background and you want them to focus on the player character or dialogue or the action or the emotions of a player, it can really pull that out, right? This one's from The Incredibles. Bob's in the office with his soon-to-be former boss, and you know, you have a robbery happening in the background. You know, they've already built it up that he wants to be a superhero. He still wants to help people, and then you see this kind of happening in the background. He's not really paying attention to his boss anyway, and then they rack right here, and they allow you to see that, and then you see what basically Bob is seeing. And then he's like, oh man, there's a robbery happening. I'm about to go get it. And he's like, you stop, right? So subtle things, but at least you saw even that, because it's simple in the background enough anyways, you saw the movement from the angle that they wanted you to see it from, but the rack helps focus that attention anyway. It helps really guide whoever the audience is over there.